Hey, Soraya, how's it going?
All right, Jeff, how about you?
I'm doing pretty darn well, pretty darn well. And I'm still on a high, and ears are still ringing because I went to see the Dream Syndicate play the Medicine Show in its entirety, plus some tracks from their couple of their albums that they've done with Jason Victor and uh, the new generation. I call them the Dream Syndicate, the new generation. And man, what a show, Soraya. Those guys are on fire. And they're done with their little West Coast tour. They did a number of dates, a week worth of dates here in the West Coast, but in first first week of or beginning of December, they got a few shows coming up. I got a list. We'll talk about that list in a while, but today we were talking about the Dream Syndicate, aren't we?
Yes, and we're talking about, among many things, but really talking about this 40th anniversary expanded edition
Yeah.
set of Medicine Show. Um, there's, first of all, if you haven't picked it up, you should. Just the write-up alone is worth your time, but also, my God, what they have brought together
Look at that list.
in terms of, so 4 discs, so many different things. Really, it's so impressive what they've been able to put together. And today we're really fortunate to not only have Ronnie Barnett with us to talk about it, but to talk to one of the hardest working men in showbiz, Steve Wynn.
What? We've been trying to get him back on the show for months
Hey
and
man,
months and
he is
months.
busy.
It's,
He is in many places. So I'm
yeah.
glad that we were able to get a time to sit and chat, even for a short time, not just about Medicine Show, but just to kind of catch up because Steve's been on the road for a while. And I think everyone's going to really enjoy today's episode. So, Jeff, I say we jump into it.
Let's do it, Soraya.
Boom. Hi, this is Soraya.
And this is Jeff,
Our podcast is called Paisley Stage Raspberry and Rhyme.
a podcast where the two of us play music that we like and share anecdotes and background about the tunes.
We hope you'll join our conversation. And without further ado, a grooviar.
Let's get groovy. All right, Soraya, you want to get us officially started?
Oh my gosh.
Listen,
Look,
we're not done.
let's
We're not
just
done
jump
now.
in.
I think
The
we're already
Oh,
off and running.
the best
I
stuff
know.
happens. Yeah, the best stuff happens before the.
So, for our listeners who were just eavesdropping in, joining us today, not only is our wonderful guest host, Ronnie Barnett, but the one and only Steve Wynn
Hey,
yeah.
joining us to talk
good to see you
about
again.
many things, but also
Oh,
this 40th anniversary expanded
Oh man,
edition
I think I,
of
th-
Medicine
I think I
Show.
have one too. I have one too. You know,
oh,
I got
look at
one here as
that!
well.
Look
Oh,
at
it's mine blurred. Oh yes, yes. That's the problem with
There
technology.
you
Yeah.
go. Woo, see?
that. Look at
So,
hype. I stuck my
yeah.
hype sticker there. There's,
Ah, I like it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I didn't
yep,
know where to
yep,
put
yep,
it.
Yeah,
There you
yep.
go.
I got,
Got
I
it
got that.
Anyway,
easily. Anyways.
Well, there's a lot to talk about. You know,
Woof.
we've done. Is this my fifth or sixth visit to the show? I
I
think
think it's the fifth. Yeah, yeah.
that's wonderful.
You've done
But
lots of
Steve, we've
things.
been wanting to get you back on for like months and months and months. But we came up with an idea,
Yeah.
um, kind of to catch us up before we talk about the medicine show. We wanted to catch up on a few things, so we thought we would do like a little speed round with you that I like to call Steve Speed Win. So it'll be a
Wow.
speed win. So I got a timer here, Steve, which means absolutely nothing, but it's got a 1 minute timer on it. And we've got some.
I think Steve's speed win in the speed round is kind of hark. If you read my book, is harkening back to my early 20s, but that's a different story.
Oh, different kind of speed.
Oh, good, good.
So we were going to throw out a couple topics at you, and I'll set the timer for a minute for each. The timer means that's absolutely nothing. Go more, go less, whatever. But just to catch
All
us
right,
up on Steve Wynn before we actually jump into the medicine show. So,
fantastic.
are you ready
I,
for some topics?
I'm ready.
All right, Ronnie, you want to throw
I
out
like this.
Ronnie, you want to throw out a first one?
I don't. Oh, you emailed the list. Go
Oh,
ahead. I'll
okay.
look. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll throw out the first one. And I don't know if we can do this in a minute, but we've got this fantastic memoir, which we didn't have a chance to have you on for it, but
You're
you
right.
wouldn't say it if it wasn't true, Steve, would you?
I
But
would not.
can you tell us, bring us up to date on the book, in a minute if you can do that.
Well,
And
yeah,
I'm gonna
yes.
set the timer.
Okay, I can see the timer, so this is good. The joke, but true, as I say at the end of the book, is I always wanted to have written a book, but writing a book was a different story. And I never had time to do it. And when the pandemic hit, I said, "Now's the time." And I hunkered down, and I found it very easy to do. The stories just came out. I didn't know the kind of book it would be, but as it turns out, the book was covering the years from birth in Los Angeles to the time when the Dream Singer breaks up when I'm 28, and it. I was really happy with it. I'm getting ready to write another one. Since the book came out, I've done about 100 shows around Europe and America, a little performance I put together using stories and songs and readings from the book that I'm diving back into in a couple later this week. And I believe I got 13 seconds left to talk about that. But I'm going to start writing the new one in February, and I think I'm pretty excited about it.
That's
With
super
4 seconds to spare.
Wow. Well
Soraya,
done.
before you jump into the next topic, Soraya, we had a writing question. So this one from Dean Michelli, and it's related to the book. That's why I'll throw it in here real quick.
Okay.
Dean wanted to know if you still own the record collection that you mentioned in the book going in and out of storage.
Oh, well, this ties into Ronnie very directly because I moved to New York in 1994. Oh, we're not. The clock isn't running. This is is this a
Off the
bonus or
clock. The
there we
bonus,
go.
yeah.
I should always have that anytime I answer any question. Actually, I think Linda would agree. um, I, I when I moved to New York in 1994, and I had at that time about 3,000 records, vinyl records, and pretty decent collection. But I realized at that point I had three choices. One was to move them all to New York at great expense and have them be the bulk of my living space, the apartment I was taking over, or put them in storage at great cost and never see them anyway, or the one that will strike fear and chills into many hearts. I said, got to get rid of them. And what I did was right around the time I moved to New York, Bob Say, who we know well, who owned Moby Disc, who was my boss at Moby Disc and owned Freak Beat, and was I guess boss for both me and Ronnie, said he was opening a new record store and he'd be happy to buy my collection. I said, "You're on." I drove all my records to Bob's house. He gave me very good value for them, and they became the opening stock, the day one stock for Freak Beat.
Wow.
Wow. Yep.
There you go, Dean.
No, great question. I love that, Dean. Yeah, no, I recently moved.
As a bonus 10 seconds, when I would first come out to LA to visit and go by the store, it was very surreal to thumb through the store and see all my records in the bins. Like, there they are. Yeah, there it is.
Right.
Yes, that happened to me. That happened to me, Steve, because I didn't sell all my records, but I sold a good chunk of them at Record Safari in LA. And I was back there with Jeff, and I could see, I was like, yeah, this was mine. This was mine.
This is mine.
This mine? Maybe I need to buy it again. That kind of thing. So.
Wow, were you tempted to buy a few things back?
Yes, and I did.
Oh no!
Yeah, I know. And then I've seen that I had to stop following them. They were showing my records there wasn't an internet when you sold your records, Steve, but every day I'd see my records on the Record Safari site. And yeah, anyway.
Right.
All right, Soraya, do you have another topic for us?
Sure. I wanted to ask about Baseball Project.
Love it.
Okay. And there's the pitch. The pitch count has started.
Oh, just anything about it.
Well, what's new with Baseball Project?
Well, we just finished a month-long tour in September. The five-piece band that's become really the de facto band. At this point, we really only go out and do things if it's me, Linda, Scott, Peter, and Mike. Mike Mills, Peter Bucks, Scott McCoy, Linda Pittman, myself. And we were always pretty good, I think, but we've become a really solid rock band on stage. And we had a great tour we're focusing on our last album on Grand Salami Time because we're pretty proud of that one. But we've kind of all agreed the next step will be to make a new record. We might do a West Coast tour next year. That is kind of, we haven't done that in a while. But and I love and I love playing live with this band. So that'd be great. But I think we've decided it's time for new songs. So I have no idea. The great thing about the Baseball Project is there's no end to the songs you can write because there's about 150 years of baseball. 1 minute.
You did it.
I'm loving this game.
Perfect. As a bonus, Steve, the title Grand Salami Time. Can you clarify that?
I'd be happy to. Grand Salami Time is the catchphrase of Dave Niehaus, the Seattle Mariners, the late broadcaster of the Seattle Mariners, who, when there was, and Scott writes about this actually, this song, Grand Salami Time, is all about catchphrases of various famous announcers, kind of all strung together. It's fantastic how he does that. And he's got, phrases from Vin Scully and Michael Kay, who does the Yankees, and um, get out the rye bread and mustard, Grandma. It's Grand Salami Time, is how Dave Niehaus would call a grand slam, which doesn't happen that often in
Wow.
baseball. So it wasn't like he called that every game, but there was a grand slam. That's what he would say. And so Scott picked up on that phrase for the chorus. And we said, could there, and the thing is, it's our fourth album. And Grand Slam
Oh,
is a 4-run home run. It's, 4-runner score. It's a
yep.
4 bases from, I'm being very, pedantic for non-baseball fans. So 4 bases. So it was a perfect name for a fourth album.
You can hang a star on that answer, Ronnie.
Great. No, and
Yeah.
let's just say what a great World Series we had this year, right, folks?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think it was the best of my lifetime. I have to say that it was the most exciting World Series, and as a diversion from the clock, I was just on tour with the Dream Syndicate on the West Coast. Jeffrey saw the final show in San Diego. Our first show was in Bellingham, Washington. It was the night of Game 7, and I was on tour with Willie Aaron, who played keyboards for this tour. All sneak previewing people we're talking about later. All of the Medicine Show tours will have a guest keyboard player because it's really such a keyboard-driven record. We wouldn't want to do it without one. And so Willie, great Willie Aaron, balancing act, third mind, great guy all around, was our keyboard player on the tour. And he's a big, as you might know, big baseball fan, a big Dodger fan. So we finished the sound check as quickly as possible. And he and I went to a nearby bar to watch as much of the game as we could. We just hustled down to a bar, ordered dinner, and just sat and watched the most incredible innings 6 through 9. I'm not going to recount them, but baseball fans will know. And after the ninth inning, it was a tie against all odds, and we had to go play our show. We went back to the club, like, oh my God, well, I guess we, got to do it, and came backstage and found our bandmates, Jason Victor and Mark Walden and Dennis Stuck, sitting in their tiny backstage watching the game on Jason's phone. Said, you guys don't even like baseball, but they were all locked into it too. Got on stage, and I told my tour manager, if there's a final score, I want to know about it on stage. And he actually walked up to the front of the stage with a piece of paper saying Dodgers, what was it, 5-4, I guess, 5-4. Yeah, that was great.
Wow.
That was a great series.
It was really something.
Yeah, and knowing Willie, he was probably like, "Can we just push the set time, Steve?"
We really thought about that. And I think we probably pushed about 10 minutes and realized. I think we would have pushed another half hour, but the way the series had been, and there had been that one 18-inning game, you just didn't know. It's like we're going to go on stage at 3 a.m.
True.
All right, we got a couple more. Speed.
I got it now, Jeff. I got the next one.
Okay.
All right,
Steve. Your version of Green for the Continental Drifters tribute album.
Yes.
Yes.
And there it is.
Turn on the clock, Jeff. Yep.
I'm really proud of that. I mean, I'm kind of there are a lot of auxiliary drifters, and I consider myself sort of an auxiliary drifter to some extent, because I go way back to the days when they played Rogers every Tuesday and would see many of those shows and get on stage for many of them and have a lot of history. And of course, that's, my bandmates. I've toured and played shows with every one of them at various times. So when they came time to do a tribute, fortunately, they asked me to do a song. And it was hard to choose one. And I've liked so many of their songs. But having been a fan of the band and seeing all those early shows when it was the band with Gary and Ray and Carlo, the original band, I've got a soft spot for those songs. And Gary wrote some fantastic songs. And I kind of knew it would be one of his, and Green was just such a great choice. It's a beautiful song, and that it's about Peter Green makes it even better. So that had to be the choice.
And you had a pretty good bass player on that album.
That's right. Yes, Steve.
Ronnie, that's flipped my mind for a second, of course, and you're fantastic on it. Right?
No. Thank you. Honor to play with you finally, Steve. And
that took all that time. Yeah,
I know. Finally, and I'm glad you said about Gary. I consider Gary just an unsung. Yeah, no one knows enough about Gary Eaton. I mean, he's so talented, and I love the Devil Squares, and just
Mm-hmm. And the songs Green, Dallas, and he was the bass player on my Fluorescent album and played incredible on that. And he did that on virtually no notice. We kind of found ourselves without a bass player 2 days before the session, and he said, "I can do this." So he was
Yeah.
fantastic. Great musician. And yeah, I'm glad those songs finally came out on that Continental Drifters reissue, because that band was all the line. I mean, the current lineup, the lineup with Peter and Vicky and Susan and Russ are astounding. But that early lineup really had something going that wasn't documented that well. So I'm glad you and I got to
Yeah.
play together.
Yeah.
I recorded that kind of to a skeletal demo, and it looked like it might even stay kind of that way. And then I asked if we could bring in Robert Lloyd, because Robert I thought would
Yeah.
be so great on that, and he was fantastic on that. And Robert was having some physical problems at that time and some health problems, and he was able to kind of drag himself to the studio and play that great part. But then when I heard you were going to be on it,
Yeah.
I think it was meant to be kept as a sort of surprise from me until the last minute. But sort of secrets are not well kept in this gang, and I found
No.
out, and I was very happy.
Yeah. No, me too. So I'm here, Steve, anytime. So I come out of
Well,
retirement anytime. Yeah. So
and believe me, you're on the turf where I started out. So I think it's time for me to bring it all back to the David, Sacramento area.
there we go. Well, the coffee house, is it still there?
No, I don't think, and I don't know. I wonder what stands where that was, but I don't think it's there as. I don't know if it's even there as a coffee house, to be honest. That's a good question.
Okay.
I just recently saw, if you had the thing where I could share it, somebody sent me a strip ad from the coffee house in 1979, with the people
Yeah.
coming up over the next few weeks and the prices, and it's kind of got, a lot of shows I didn't see, strange enough, things like Pat Metheny, who I probably now would have, back then I thought, oh, this fusion, I don't need that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure Tom Grasick would have bullied me if I wouldn't see Pat Metheny, I'm sure. But John Fahey was, I didn't see that. But the
Wow.
bottom of the strip ad, after all those other bands whose gigs are charging like $5 or $6, there's one for $3 advance at door for a band called Police.
Oh,
wow.
At the bottom of the ad, Police.
Police. Yeah. No. Yeah.
No, that's all it is. And some funny picture that I don't know what it must be a picture of Sting doing something, but it's a weird picture, just Police for $3.
Wow.
And I was at that show.
Wow. Yeah.
That's
well,
amazing.
like we all have regrets. Like you missed Pat Metheny. I growing up in Texas, I missed Towns Van Zandt like countless times, and Lightning Hopkins.
Wow.
I was.
Thank God.
I've seen punk stuff. You know what I mean? It's embarrassing now. But
would some of them come by and play, and you'd see that they were playing, but you just had no interest at that time because it was not the kind of thing you were into?
Yeah. It was just not on my radar. I was seeing the blues things like the Thunderbirds and Stevie Ray, and I thought Stevie Ray played too many notes at the time. I was like, I'm a Jimmy Vaughn guy. That guy just plays scales fast.
Is there? Yeah, I get that.
But no, but now it's shocking. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, folks.
Oh, no worries. We got two more speed round.
Yes.
Okay. So mine is Gutterball. I wanted to see if there's an update with Gutterball, because I think I read that there might be something new with them. If not, correct me.
There will be. Oh, we have 1 minute. Yes, this is great news. I'm very excited. There is the short version is yes, there's going to be a new Gutterball album probably coming out maybe next summer or fall. It's recorded, and we just need to kind of do a few overdubs and mix it, and it's really good and really, as you can imagine, a very emotional and beautiful record. It's largely, well, the backstory is here. I got 36 seconds. The backstory is, Armstead Welford, the bass player in Gutterball, had some health issues last May, a very bad thing. They looked like not good at all. And once he recovered, I said, Armstead, I want to come down and visit you. I've got a few spare weeks in August, because yes, I do have spare weeks now and then. And I went down to Richmond to see him, and then this visiting him turned into, let's book a show. And we played a show, and let's book a couple of days in the studio. We went in and recorded a whole album. And the album, I'm going to go over my time here, but I think it's worth it, is that the album features 2 songs written by Brian Harvey that never came out. And as I think a lot of your viewers viewers will know, Brian was our guitarist, my co-writer in the band, who tragically passed away 20 years ago this coming January. And he made a solo album that we all have that never came out. I think he mainly did it for himself. He played everything. So we did a couple songs from that record. And there are a few other songs that he actually plays on. There's songs that didn't come out that we took those recordings and worked on them, updated them. And there's a few songs kind of just about Brian. So it really is our little bit of a emotional, band of brothers paying tribute to our fallen comrade.
That's amazing.
It's gonna be quite a record. It's gonna be really something. I see you doing this and I feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's really just a very beautiful emotional record. And I think we're going to go and finish it maybe after the Stream Syndicate tour next February.
Wow. That's great news. That's
And it's going to be part. It's going to be part of. It's also going to be part of a Gutterball complete box set. So it's going to be
oh,
a sort of a
Oh,
double release that is going to be coming out on Real Gone Records is doing it.
okay.
The
That was
same
oh,
label that did my
nice.
box sets. They're going to
Yes.
Another Pat Thomas masterpiece in store.
uh,
Nice.
Soraya, I think you have one more topic before we get.
Last one. And this is about the Warren Zevon tribute that just happened in
Great.
Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago. And I wanted to know why you picked Play It All Night Long, which someone said was Warren Zevon's favorite song.
I heard that afterward. It's not doesn't surprise. It's a really great song. I've covered it a lot over the years. I've actually played that, not a lot actually, but the Miracle 3 would play it now and then, um, here and there. And I've also covered um, I'll Sleep When I'm Dead with my quintet that I had for the first two solo albums. So I'm just a very very big Warren Zevon fan, and I think I even went to the Wild Honey people and said, here are 10 songs I'd be happy to do. But that was my number one choice, and they gave me my first choice. It's just a great song. It's just got a great look. And all of his songs, or a lot of, it's funny, I won't say all because I was going to say all of his songs are very dark, but they're not. Half his catalog is touchingly beautiful and half is very dark, and he can do both things very well. And some are both. But this song is one of the darkest he wrote. And I said, that's mine. I can do that. And I, I have to say the whole thing it was such a great show. It was such a thrill to do it, and it was amazing to be able to play Leland Sklar on bass and Rick Murata. That was like, as a fanboy, that was quite a thing. But that was just a huge thrill. And Jackson Brown, what a nice guy, and what a goofball. Even he was so friendly and even kind of so offhandedly approachable and funny.
Love it.
You had a pretty good background singer section back there with Susan
Oh,
Cowsill and Christy Callan. I don't know who else.
yeah.
Yeah, not
Who else?
not.
I obviously know the two of them were there. I can't remember who else was back there. There were like 20 people behind me. If you gave me
Yeah,
a pop quiz right now who the whole band was, I'd say, God, I'm sorry, I'm going to fail on this one. But I know a lot of the people that were there. But yeah, they were great. And in fact, I heard there's a YouTube clip of it, and they're really under mix. So I just yesterday wrote to David Jenkins and said, when you do the mix, I guess they're going to do an official. I don't know if it's for an album or a video or just for posterity. So turn up the backing vocals. That was actually my
uh,
big
Yeah.
request.
Nice.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for humoring us by going through that little speed round. But let's get to the
Ooh,
medicine show. So
sure.
so
The speed round got my heart going. That was good.
I like that. Worked well. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
so my first question, Steve, about this is you were on a major label for Medicine Show, and I think Ronnie can relate to this, having a similar experience, getting the rights back to something on a label. It's not always easy. So, can you tell us about getting the rights back to Medicine Show?
Yeah, sure. And I'm not sure if Ronnie's been through this process yet.
No.
When did the first Must record come out?
93.
There you go. So your time is coming in 3 years.
Yeah.
There is what I'm referring to is there's a law that I should know more about because I talk about it a lot. I think it might have been in place for a long time, but in the last 10 or so years has been more strictly enforced. A 35-year reversion law. That may be the name of it, but basically the idea is after 35 years, the rights to all records should go back to the artist who made it. It is a law. It's a law, and we can all look it up later on to see when it happened, who put it into place. But there are certain people out there, Dan Perloff being one of them, and Evan Cohen, who a lawyer involved in all of this. The two of them were, especially Dan. I'll give most credit to Dan. Was really the crusader for reaching all the artists who might be getting their records back and helping them fill out the papers, because it's not automatic. You have to kind of declare that the record is, you want it back. It's a little minor hoops you have to jump through, and Dan's become the patron saint of making sure artists do it. So he got me back the rights to, for example, Days of Wine and Roses, a while ago, and also Out of the Gray. Those are two we'd already gotten back, and it was like, yeah, great. And they became box sets, of course, on fire, like this one. When it came time for Medicine Show, when Medicine Show became 35 years old, which was 2019, we said, great, now it's time for Medicine Show. And pretty much, now bear in mind, A&M was the label we were on, and A&M was the greatest label. I have nothing but good things to say about them. They were just good people, righteous in every way, great catalog, great artists. I mean, I was very happy to be on that label. But like a lot of labels, and again, Ronnie will know this, the label gets swallowed up by another label, by another label, by another label, and eventually they were owned by a beer company, Bertelsmann, and finally was Universal. And Universal basically said, not just to us, but to all of their artists, we do not abide by this rule. Go to hell. You
Wow.
can send your lawyers, that kind of thing. They said, we're just not going to do it. Like, oh my God, you can't. I thought that was the law, but they held their ground. Well, starting right about that time, the same legal team, Evan Cohen, who was working with Dan Perloff and his team, took it upon themselves to represent a handful of artists for a class action lawsuit. I know that among them were the Dickies, Sid Straw, Chasm Sultan from Utopia. I'm forgetting if there were a lot of them, but those are the ones they were really focusing on. And they had a major lawsuit. And this happened through the pandemic. And they spent a lot of time and a lot of money, which finally culminated in this very surreal day about 2 years ago. I think about 2 years ago, where I guess I was one of their better witnesses, testifiers. And, like I was, as especially off the 1 minute clock, I could go on about whatever. And they had this very large deposition in a high and the 50th floor of a Times Square Midtown office building. I mean, like the prototypical conference room, boardroom thing with 4 TV cameras with lawyers from all around the country on the cameras. And they brought me there for a 4-hour deposition.
Wow.
Of which I was given all the coffee and power bars I wanted. And I was coached for a full day before
Wow.
on what I should say and shouldn't say, how I should say it. And it was wild. I was thinking, how much is this costing? I'm looking at lawyers around this table and lawyers on TV. There's a lot of money being spent here, but they really, really went after it. And finally, by the end, and I think it was a year and a half ago, they came to me and said, we won the suit. And basically it was like, I think that it was a very complicated settlement that involved a certain amount of money, which basically paid the legal fees, but also the rights back for the records for all the bands. And that's all I wanted. I mean, not that I was refusing money, but I said, I just want a record back. Now, to go back in time a little bit, before this all happened, I'd been back to even the early 90s. I'd been pestering anybody I could to get the record put out. Not even, I didn't want it back. I just wanted it to exist. It went out of print probably in the late 80s, maybe 6 years after it came out. And I was sad because I liked the record a lot and felt also the record in a way was a misunderstood, misrepresented record in a lot of ways. So I wanted to be there where people could hear it and make up their own mind. I tried so hard. I was managed at one point for several years, for about 5 years, by John Silva. John, of course, was in the early 90s, was flying, as he still is, flying very high with success of Nirvana and Sonic Youth, et cetera, et cetera. He tried and he couldn't do it. I mean, and we would say, look, we don't need the rights. All we want is you to put it out, And as another subplot, postscript or whatever, what's one? Footnote, thank you. Footnote to the story is that we were about $500,000 in debt to A&M on the cost of making the record and the cost of the tour that followed. So I knew I'd never make any money off it. I didn't care. I just wanted the record to exist. Well, they just would stonewall us at every turn. So finally, we got it back, and the debt was wiped out because that didn't exist anymore. And there were two things in the settlement that were weird. One was that we couldn't stream the actual album. We could release it physically and as a digital download. We couldn't stream it, which is why you don't see it on the streaming sites. Okay, maybe someday they will do it themselves. I don't know what that was all about. And the second is that it had to be on my own label. They said, you can't sell this to another label. It was a weird settlement. And I said, well, I happen to have a label that I had active in the 80s called Down There. So there you go. So I put it out, distributed by Fire Records, who's my label
Mhm.
Yeah.
for all my other projects anyway. But they are technically distributors, and we'll keep it at that. And it's my imprint on the record. So
Understood.
that's a short version. But basically, and in the meantime, our good friend Pat Thomas, who's done such a great job with our archival projects, with the Days of Wine and Roses box, with the Out of the Gray box, with my Decade solo compilation that Real Gone put out. He was very involved in those, and Pat said, this is mine. And he essentially said to me, you can suggest things, you can hear what I'm doing, but really, this is mine. I said, you know what, Pat, this is yours. Go after it. And he went to great lengths to track down any possible recording that existed from the time we finished Days of Wine and Roses to the time we finished Touring Medicine Show. He hunted things down, photographs, testimonials, as he likes to put it. And of course, I'm leaving out a lot of details because I think a lot of your fans know this, but we spent 5 months making the record. It was hell. It was no fun. I like the final result. And Pat says him putting this together was his version of that experience. He had his own personal medicine show putting it together, but the end result was he did an amazing job. The mastering job on everything, the songs he chose, the tapes he found that I didn't even know existed, the booklet, the people he got to talk to him. The whole thing was amazing. And the box is just, it's really something. It's his masterwork.
Wow,
Now,
that is crazy.
now Steve, there was a CD version on a label called Water about a dozen years ago. Was that
Yep.
illegal? Basically,
It was weird. It was more than a dozen. I'm going to say 20, maybe 20, or the early part of the century. I don't know the exact year, but yeah, it was a label called Water, which is owned by a guy named Filippo, who was Pat Thomas's and Russ Tolman's boss at their Interstate Records and Four Men with Beards and various things Pat had been involved with. Filippo was the money, the big boss behind all that. He's based in Italy, and he was doing a similar thing to what Gordon at Real Gone Music does and other labels like that, where they cherry pick things that are out of print and put them in print. That's
Yeah.
They become more and more popular, and it's because there's so much that's out of print. People can be a music geek and say, I've always wanted this record to exist. I can do it. And somehow Gordon did what I hadn't been able to do, what John Silva hadn't been able to do, with other people couldn't do. He somehow found the right people at the right moment of vulnerability and got them to put out a CD version of Medicine Show in Italy for about 1 year. It was a limited time. And when the time was up, they couldn't have it anymore. It was that kind of thing. But they did do it. And it was a good job. It was, if I'm not mistaken, I think Bill Englert remastered that version and did a great job, especially given the time and the technology he was working with. Did a really nice job. And it came out on CD only. And there it was, and boom, it was gone again.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
This
it was done well.
This one's sticking around. Yeah, it was done as well. I mean, it was done very different from this. It was a much smaller booklet with more, limited scope, but it sounded good.
Sure.
And it was around. It wasn't promoted that much, so it remained kind of a secret for those who were able to know about it.
Yeah.
So it does mess with my narrative. This record's been out of print for 30 years. I'm sticking with that narrative. I don't care.
I know.
I don't know.
Screw that up.
No,
I'm sorry.
It's fine. That's fine. You worked in the coolest record store in LA, so of course you're going to know that, and you know me too. But in my mind, this record really has been out of print, and we can even qualify by saying it hasn't been on vinyl since the '80s, and
true.
That's something. Yeah,
true. I want to add that I bought the Suspect single from John Silva at a flea market when I moved to California in '89, '90. So before John Silva didn't have to do that anymore.
He kept doing it for a long time. He did that for I don't know, throughout the '80s, and I think he enjoyed it. I think it was part of what he enjoyed doing. But you're right. Eventually, that didn't factor into things. But I didn't know that. That's amazing. Well, John was the first Suspects fan, maybe the only one.
Oh wow.
He was a cool mod kid in San Francisco who would come to our Mabuhay shows, which would bring our attendance up from 7 to 8, I think. And he came to all the shows. I think he had a crush on Kendra. We slept on his floor a couple times, and that's how far back we go. So I would say he is the authority on the Suspects live experience.
Right. Wow.
Tom Gracek as well, of course.
Yes. I like that Tom keeps getting brought up in this.
all roads lead to Tom Grayson. That's why I was so emphatic to suggest, that you guys have him on the show, because it's like, when you talk about the Paisley Underground and all these bands, I'm not going to say he led directly to the other bands, because he didn't, except True West and Thin White Rope maybe,
Yeah.
but he was sort of a big part of my awareness to so many things that then passed on to what I brought to the Dream Syndicate and the scene in general. That's largely Tom. So he's the humble and caustic ground zero for a lot of the stuff. If one can be humble and caustic, he is somehow.
True.
Right?
I feel like that actually does describe Tom somehow. Amazing guy. So, Medicine Show, you're performing it live. Was that always the thought to in releasing this, that you would promote it by playing it in its entirety on the road?
Well, we did that with Days of Wine and Roses, and it worked really well. And I think that was, something we hoped was a plan to do that. And I knew it would be, when we did Days of Wine and Roses live, it was second nature, because we'd been playing those songs in that style. We tried to make that tour a little more true to the record than our live versions had been before that. Before, we'd played and sort of filtered through who we were now, through what Jason Victor does on guitar. But when we went on tour for that record, we said, let's try to, I even tried to sing as much as I could in the style I did on the record, which is, when you talk about my hair being so different from 84, and you're right, Ronnie, when I hear my vocals on Days of Wine and Roses, I think, I never sang like that again. There's a way I sang on that album, and I know where it's coming from. When I hear my singing on there, I can hear my love of bands like Echo and the Bunnymen and Joy Division and very Anglo things I was into. That gets kind of lost when people talk about some of the bands you feature on this show. That we were really, in 81, getting a lot of our information and glimpse into a cool underground, not from the States, but more from England at that one moment, at that particular time. Most of the cool stuff was coming out of, Liverpool and Manchester and London. So yeah, I can hear that. But to bring it back to Medicine Show, I really, not only did I want to play the record live, we decided, and as you saw in San Diego, not to play the record in sequence like the record, but to play a show like we might have played in 1984. And there was a live EP that came out after Medicine Show called This Is Not the New Dream Syndicate album live, with a 5-song EP. And on the box set, we have there's the set list. Oh, so there is, you'll see, not the sequence of the album. But there's this live record on,
yeah,
there it is. Yeah. Right. So you can see it out of order.
Yeah.
And we based it more on the live show we might have done at that time on the REM tour.
So you decided to play it in a different order like you originally did? That was the thought, not from beginning to end?
Right. So for a few reasons. One is that the sequence of the album, which works for the album, I think Dennis was the first to write to me and say, are we going to end the shows with Merrittville? Because that would be kind of a dour, heavy, ponderous ending. And I said, we got to end the shows with John Coltrane's Stereo Blues, because that's kind of would be the big wig out, and to leave, a pool of goo all over the stage. That's how we do it, That's the way to end the show. So we kind of had the idea to do, and also the sound of the record is great. It's not like we want to emulate that exact record. But when I heard, I've always really liked that live record, not the New Dream Syndicate live. It's recorded. It was recorded when we toured with REM, and it was recorded at the Aragon Ballroom in Chicago. The night we opened up for them, and we had a really good set that night. It was broadcast by a Chicago radio station called WXRT, a really great station at the time and very supportive. So it was kind of a cool night, and it was captured, and the A&M put it out. This was my hunting job. I found there were 2 tracks from the show, 2 songs from that live show that were left off the first EP. And I did a little detective work of my own and managed to find them. I found, I have an old friend, Mark Alghini, who worked at Mute, the label I was on, for a while. And I know from other places, but he also worked in radio in Chicago. And I said, do you have any idea where those tapes are? And he found them. He found some guy there who had the tapes in his house, and they did the thing where they baked the tapes, which is what you do to make them work again. I guess you could do it one time. We all know this story. Then he did that himself, and he got those 2 songs. So it's a complete show now. And the sound of that show, I just really like it. It's got something, again, like the hair that never was the same again. The accent and vocals were never the same again. That's a
Yeah.
live band sound that I never did anything like that again. It was kind of, it's going to sound disparaging, but kind of arena rock, kind of very big. It was, you could say on the one hand it was sort of a E Street Band kind of thing, but I don't think it was like that. It reminds me even more of what the Waterboys were doing around the time. This very grand mission statement kind of music, and we were doing that on that tour. So we decided for this tour, let's bring that back. It won't be exactly the same. Let's make it larger than life. We'll come out for a first set as we do, and we play newer material, songs off our last 4 albums. And then we take a break and come back, and we are this 1984 band, just, with a big, in our imagination, a giant arena PA behind us. And thankfully, the clubs we played did a good job of getting that vibe, and there we go.
It was a great show. And
Thank you.
we'll talk about the East Coast and European stuff coming soon.
That
But
radio show had Tommy Zavonchek too on keyboards, Steve.
Yeah.
Now,
Tommy Zavonchek, yeah.
we tried to get him. Thanks. I never knew if I was saying that right.
You are.
We tried to get him for the show, and he was kind of maybe wanting to do it, and then he just.
Oh no! I would have loved that.
I know. I thought it would have been a. Yeah.
Tommy runs hot and cold. He'll probably see this show and then give me. He likes to. He doesn't give me crap. Pretty. I mean, we've sort of stayed in touch over the years. I haven't seen him in decades, but he's on Facebook, and sometimes he'll write to me and say, great that you're out there doing it. Then someday he'll see something I said and get really mad at me. So it goes back. I'm not sure where he is right now, but on that.
Okay. You have been in touch. That was my question. That was what I was wondering.
Well, a little bit, and mainly because of like a lot of things, social media, Facebook and stuff like that. I mean, Tommy has quite a history. Tommy, was a Jersey guy who played in Aldo Nova, in eventually in the Blue Oyster Cult after the record with us, and played with PIL, Public Image Limited, for one tour of Japan, and was a prototypical New Jersey talented piano player who would play, I'd imagine, other gigs around when they came up. He just had the skills. But his well-known things were the ones I just mentioned. But Sandy Pearlman knew him. I'm not sure how originally, but he knew him because Tommy was playing on a record that Sandy worked on for about 30 years called Imaginos. He was working on, we made Medicine Show. He was working on the next decade, and the decade after that finally came out, and Tommy was part of that. Anyway, yeah, Tommy added so much to Medicine Show. He came in and he took that from kind of a skeletal, I'm going to say epic, which sounds like I'm bragging, but it is kind of an epic record, from a skeletal epic record to the parts he added, which made it full-on epic. And when we went on tour for that, there was not even a single thought that we wouldn't take him along because we were playing that record. And again, just like he really transforms Medicine Show, the album, he transforms that live recording. It really, we didn't, a lot of bands like ourselves who had a reputation as being an underground band might have said, you're coming on tour with us, but we're going to put you in the back of the stage and have you mixed really low. And, we're the Dream Syndicate, buddy. No, in our daringness, perversity, whatever you want to call it, said, make the keyboards really loud. That was our call, and we did.
Wow. So is he one of the 3 keyboardists on these tours, Steve?
No, that would have been something though. I would not have been against having him along at some point in some way. I mean, Chris Kakavas is the official keyboard player of the Dream Syndicate. He's a full-on member of the band. He would be on every show if we could. The practicality and the reality is Chris lives in Karlsruhe in the southwest of Germany, and bringing him over for a week of shows on the West Coast or a week of shows on the East Coast, it just didn't make sense. So Chris is doing the European tour, all 20 shows, and he'll be on that tour, and it's going to be great. And plus he plays on all the new records, so he'll be there for playing his parts on the first set. But we found 2 great subs. I can't even call them subs because they're so fantastic. One was Willie Aaron for the West Coast, and on the East Coast tour, it's going to be Josh Cantor, who has played with everybody on stage, but his day job, his 6 months a year day job, is the organist at Fenway Park. That's what he's been doing for the last 22 years.
Wow.
Wow.
Did you know that? You didn't know that? Josh
No.
can't. Let me
Wow.
give you the Josh Cantor saga. Josh went to college with Jason Victor. They were college roommates, and he's always been according to Jason. He's an incredibly talented keyboard player who also has kind of the savant skill of being able to learn anything really quickly. And the Miracle Three were did medicine show. One of the very few times I played the record live. We did a show in Boston, um, maybe in 2003, and Jason suggested having Josh, who I didn't know at the time, come and play the record with us. And Josh shows up at sound check for the gig, like, an hour before doors open. And he's learned every note that Tommy plays on the record perfectly. And
Wow.
who is this guy? About a year later, I ran into Josh, at another show, and Josh said, I think I might be getting the job as an organist at Fenway Park. I said, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he got the job. And in 22 years, he has never missed a game. I call him
Wow.
for you baseball fans, I call him the Cal Ripken of
Yeah.
baseball park organists, because he has played every 81 games a year with the Red Sox and postseason too.
Yeah.
And so he's played this material before, and he'll be doing it on the East Coast, and that'll be great.
Wow.
Incredible. Does he get a bonus if they go to the World Series like the players?
He does, but
Oh, yeah, yeah.
but
Wow.
wait, halfway he says right, he gets a bonus, but not like the players.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He gets more work. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes, he gets more work.
Amazing. Can we talk about those East Coast dates real quick? I got them pulled up here. So that's going to be coming up here shortly. On December 9th, they're going to be playing at the Space Ballroom in Hamden, Connecticut. December 10th at the Crystal Ballroom, Boston, Massachusetts. December 11th at what, Le Poisson Rouge,
Poisson, exactly. You
New
nailed it.
York, New York. December 12th, Philadelphia at Johnny Brenda's. December 13th at Union Stage, Washington, D.C. And finally, in Richmond at the Richmond Music Hall, December 14th. So that's coming up here shortly. I thought the show in San Diego was incredible, Steve. Both sets were amazing. So if any of our listeners on the East Coast, definitely check out those shows.
Oh, thanks.
Coming up right around the corner here.
And you were right up front. You stood face to face with Jason Victor's guitar. You got the full Jason effect up there. And that was great.
Yeah, I wasn't about to miss that. So, and it was
Yeah.
incredible. My ears are still ringing. I left my earplugs and my records to get signed in the car, but my ears are still ringing. But it's totally worth it.
Oh my!
You guys
Well,
brought it. You brought the heat.
My ears stopped ringing along because there's nothing happening there now. No, not that bad.
Yeah, but
that was a funny day because we'd played a full show that afternoon
Newport
up in
Beach,
Newport
California.
Beach,
Yeah.
and then hustled down just in time to sound check in San Diego and play 2 sets that night. That was crazy behavior.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing.
It takes a while to get down to San Diego. It takes longer than it used to, right? Even on a
It didn't that day.
Okay.
We playing about San Diego, and Jeff, I was talking about this at the show. I was trying to remember the place we played back in '82 regularly. Someone said the Spirit, but I think it was some other club that had the word King in it. I never got a definitive answer on that, but wherever it was, we would typically, for whatever reason, well, because it was a weekend, we would go down and play San Diego on Fridays, maybe once every other month in '82. Before Days of Wine and Roses came out, it was kind of, we'd go down just because it was a gig, and it was. But I remember on Friday afternoons, even back in '82, it would take forever to get there.
Okay.
Oh, even then, it was no fun. Coming home was a breeze, but going there was my.
Yeah, but coming home, you have that checkpoint. Whatever.
The med flies or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Am I dating myself?
Yeah.
No more med flies, I don't think. Yeah, but you're right. The checkpoint.
Yeah.
It's funny.
But okay, well, good to know. Okay, so it was still hard to get down there on a weekday.
It was tough even then. Yeah,
Gotcha.
on a weekday.
Okay.
And, we would typically, when we'd play not only San Diego but San Francisco, any show we'd played within 8 hours, we'd drive home. That was the way it was. Probably same for you guys, right? I'd imagine early on you would drive back.
No, San Diego we would always drive back, but San Francisco, we would stay at the Phoenix, which I hear is closing in January.
I'm sure you know that place. I know.
Yeah. So
you would stay there. No, we would drive. We would typically play the show, drive back, and get everyone back in time for work the next day.
Yeah, we were prima donna, Steve. We didn't share rooms. Even early on.
Yeah. Well, once again, I think the word speed was used earlier in the
Yeah.
broadcast.
Yeah, there you go.
So, Steve, one of my questions, a couple of my questions you answered, and I appreciate that because I was wondering how this ended up on Down There, and now we know. Um,
Yeah.
so, is there any chance that Down There will be releasing anything else, or was that only out of necessity because of the situation?
It was out of necessity, but I don't know. It's got me thinking. I mean, the reason again, to give the backstory, Down There only exists in the first place just to put out the first Dream Syndicate EP, which was put out with no thought that it would lead to anything. I just thought we'll make 500 copies and won't that be fun? And then it did really well. So after selling, I forgot how many, like 15,000 copies right away, we then put out the Green on Red record with the money. I put out the Green on Red record, and it kept, one thing led to another. And by the end of the 80s, I'd put out about 10 records, including the Top Jimmy and the Rhythm Pigs record, which is getting reissued in January. I'm so excited about that. Not on me, not on Down There.
No.
I gave the rights away.
Speaking
happily.
of Dan Perloff, Dan Perloff.
Dan Perloff again, right.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was a certain point in the late 80s, it was very strange. I had been signed, Enigma Records had asked me to have Down There be a custom label with Enigma. And they said, we will, it wasn't big money, but they said, we will finance you the ability to put out 6 records a year. I said, well, that sounds like fun. And I did. I did 6 records in the course of a year. Put out records by bands I really like, The Romans, Divine Weeks, Top Jimmy, Russ Tolman's record, English band called Doctor's Children, all records by bands I'd hear. And my selling point on Down There was always, if you can find a better deal, take it. That's kind of our motto. It's like, we're only here for people who can't get their records out otherwise. And that was kind of what we did. At a certain point, it was weird. The LA Reader, which, we probably all remember as the mini weekly, the second, banana to the weekly, did a cover story on me as record label guy on Down There Records. I forgot who wrote it. I don't think it was Chris Morris, but somebody wrote a cover story on Down There Records. Oh my God. From that point on, anytime I went out to shows, people wanted to give me their tapes. They wanted to have me see their band. I said, this is not why I did this. This is not who I am. And I stopped the label because I don't want to be a record label. Well, fast forward to now, we're all record labels now. Musicians all do Bandcamp. We all do our own promotion on social media. Everybody gets their hands dirty. It's part of the game. And I don't mind because I've always enjoyed a bit of that. Doing a record label now doesn't seem as seamy and ugly to me as it did in the 80s. Now it's like, well, what's another title on Bandcamp? So I'm thinking, maybe doing more stuff. I'm very happy with Fire Records. They do a great job with my stuff, so I don't see that changing. But maybe if I want to do the Gutterball record, for example, Gutterball's not gonna tour. We're not trying to build anything, but I want the record to be out, so I could see that kind of thing. Or maybe if I want to put, I don't know, I'm just riffing here, but it's a nice place a nice label icon to put out records that wouldn't otherwise come out. So I guess I would say the same thing to me. I said to my artist, if you can't get anyone else to put this out, put it on Down There. That sort of thing. I think the stiff records, if it ain't stiff, it ain't worth a blah. So I think Down There is if you can't get a better deal, we'll take you.
From a business standpoint, I don't know if that's the best, but I love it.
No, I don't think it is. But hey.
And I did want to mention, we've been talking about the box set, but the vinyl sounds great. See the new mastered vinyl. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, thanks. That Jim Hill, who has Jim been on your show? I think he must have been, or not? Yes. Yeah. So Jim Hill I've always been a fan of Jim's work back to the early Rain Parade records, and Jim took this on with Pat as a labor of love and did an incredible job. And he did a good job because, it's always that thing when you do reissues and remasters is you want it to sound as good as possible, but you want to sound representative of what it was. That's a hard thing to write. And he did a great job. He understands how records are supposed to sound. So he didn't turn it into some horrific, monstrosity that will sound dated in 6 months. It just sounds like a very good, I've said many times, and it's really true, is that it really sounds like what I was hearing in the studio on the big speakers, Remember the big speakers?
Yeah.
That was the thing back then. Studios put them on the big
Yeah.
speakers when you wanted to feel happy about what you did that day, And but it sounds now like what I would hear on the big speakers in the studio, and just fantastic.
Yeah, so I remember, so you do the big speakers in the studio, then you would go out and listen to it the car. So if
In the
Yeah.
Oh
right,
yeah,
but
I
you
was all
had
about the
that,
car.
yeah.
My
So
Honda Civic.
They'd often have the small speakers as well in the studio. Like, you'd switch big
Right.
speakers,
Yeah, the
small. Yeah,
Oratones, the Innocents, the Oratones, up to the big ones. There was this
Yep.
you probably know the Magic Shop in New York, maybe you've heard of that.
Yeah.
It was famous studio, great studio. And I did a few of my records there. I did Sweetness and Light and Here Come the Miracles. I think something else. Great place. And they had the coolest thing in their basement of the studio, kind of in the tech area. They had half of a shell of a Volkswagen Bug, the back half of a
Oh.
Volkswagen Bug. So imagine cut it in half front to back, and you'd sit in the back seat, and they had the car stereo in the Volkswagen Bug. So you can go downstairs from the studio
Wow.
and play it on a cassette in the Volkswagen Bug. It was so cool.
Wow.
So you could get and in New York nobody has cars, so it was
Right.
the only way to do the car test.
that's amazing. That's amazing. So Steve, I've got 3 box sets that look like this from the Dream Syndicate.
Mhm.
And you've mentioned all those. So could we expect Ghost Stories to end up with this kind of treatment, or
Well, as soon as I get Pat Thomas out of the loony bin that I put him in for this project, I'll see if he wants to work on that. He'd be the one to do it. And Pat actually said to somebody recently, "Let's just enjoy this one for now." I think eventually it will happen. And Ghost Stories was on, and Live at Rodgers too were both on Enigma, which was part of the the Warner's family. And Warner's has been very good about giving up the rights the way they're supposed to. They were Days of Wine and Roses also. So actually, if you go on, I mean, those records are nowhere to be found now on streaming because Warner said, our time's up. We're done with these. So when the time comes, it will happen. But Pat's right. There's a side of me that wants everything out right now. And Pat says, let's enjoy Medicine Show for a while, and then we'll
fair
get to
enough?
that
makes
one.
sense.
Yep.
Also, a
Yeah.
box set of the EP, Steve. I say that one too.
Which one?
Of the EP, a box set version of the EP with a
Oh, you mean
bonus
we mean
stuff.
the
I mean,
you
the
mean the
Down
Down
There
There?
EP. Yeah.
Isn't that's on the Wine and Roses box set, isn't it?
Oh God, yeah, you're right.
And I'm asking that. I had a question mark at the end because I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it is.
No,
It's just,
it is.
I'm not-
think now that you mention it, yeah.
I think it is.
Okay, never
So,
mind.
Yeah. And wait, otherwise, a box set of 4 songs would be kind of a
Well,
challenging box set, right?
you do the things before, after it live.
Yeah,
You fill it
yeah.
out. I'll talk
I
to
mean-
Pat. Yeah,
I mean, Pat made a single album into a 4 CD set. So
there you go.
Well, he just, and I think you know what he did with the mission for this box set was, and Pat and I talked about this early on, is that because Days of Wine and Roses and Medicine Show are such different records, we wanted to show how we got from one place to the other. That it wasn't just like, oh, we woke up one morning and said, forget that sound, we got a brand new sound. It was a very logical progression. And when you listen to this, you can hear some of the Medicine Show songs played with Kendra in the band, and other ones then played on tour for the next 4 months with Dave in the band, including the amazing, the live at CBGB's recording that I never knew about at all, that Pat found. All these, see, by the time you start at the beginning of the box set and get to the end, it all makes sense. And that was kind of what he wanted to do with this, is show the road that led to the Medicine Show, really, the way we got there.
yeah, I appreciate that, Steve, because I remember when Medicine Show came out and I was waiting for it, and it was, and we've talked about this before, it's different. It's different than the Days of Wine and Roses. And I'm glad that we have that narrative now, because when it was a little bit shocking, I liked it immediately. I wasn't one of those that was shocked and didn't like it. I was shocked and liked it, that it was different, but it was different.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and not everybody
It
was
was.
in the same camp that I was, but yeah, I mean, it seemed like there was a drastic change, but to your point, when you go through and you listen to that, and I was very happy to see that Kendra had played on some of these tracks that ended up on here, and just
I had no
the
idea.
progression.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I really, again, Pat doing the detective work. If he would have asked me, are there recordings of Kendra playing these songs? I would have said, well, of course not. And he found some, which is something. I didn't know that. So that's great that she's represented here as well. And she almost came to our San Francisco show last week. I was really hoping for it,
Oh,
but it's a long ways for her, so she kind of,
yeah.
bagged out. Um, but yeah, it's funny and I know the reaction it got, and it got a better reaction in the States than some people would think. Well, it sold a lot better, which, you could say, well, big label, of course, but
Yeah.
it got more radio airplay. Did get some great reviews, and a lot of people, especially newcomers, liked it. And we went on the REM tour, playing to 2 or 3 thousand people every night. The shows went over great. People, I think because a lot of their audience didn't know who we were. The toughest audience for Medicine Show was the audience of Dream Syndicate fans. The hardcore Wine and Roses fans were the toughest to win over, as evidenced by the reception on the REM tour, and even more evidenced by the European tour we did that fall. We went out to Europe for the first time, where people, Days of Wine and Roses got over there as an import, and maybe a handful of hipsters might have known about it, but it really was pretty invisible over there. So we were a new band with Medicine Show, and people loved it. It was that very typical English press and fan response where this is the best record of all time. 10 best records of all time. Well, Revolver, Blonde on Blonde, and Medicine Show, of course. I mean, it had that kind of immediate classic kind of thing. And we were playing sold out shows left and right and being treated like, the coolest kid on the block. So I think the record made more sense if you didn't know the backstory. And if you knew the backstory, it was a bit of an adjustment. Now, when I hear Medicine Show, it sounds fully normal to me. It sounds like just a rock band playing these songs that I've been playing my whole life. That it all. By the time I can understand for you, for you, Jeff, and for a lot of fans, you'd be like, "What's going on here? Let me wrap my head around this."
Well, yeah, for fans of Days of Wine and Roses, you have this record, fans know it, and then you sign to a major label. It was a huge deal at the time. So people are listening with their arms crossed, basically, when they're hearing it. You know what I mean? Like, probably.
And you've been there, and you've been there. You've been there.
Probably wanting to hate it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, we didn't have the indie album. We turned down Triple X Records.
Did you? Oh.
Yeah.
You never made an indie record at all?
We had singles, two singles. We had a Sub Pop single. We had a Sympathy for the Record Industry single, and an Australian single. But yeah, we did an interview with Maximum Rock and Roll, but we'd already signed to Warner Brothers, but no one knew. And then they it didn't run. I'll put it that way. Yeah. So
it didn't.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we had our own separate issues, but by that time, you had done the major label record Husker Du. That was a big deal when they signed. It was a little easier for us.
Well, we were the first of our gang. We were of whatever you want to call that scene, and not just Paisley Underground, but even REM, Replacements, Husker Du, Sonic Youth, and name any band that was around in that moment. We were the first ones to make that leap.
Yeah.
And it was by circumstance. I've done a lot of interviews for Medicine Show in the last few months. I've had more time to think about it. And when I look back on what we did, going to A&M, choosing Sandy Pearlman, all the things we didn't think about any of it. We just put one foot in front of the other. It was happening so fast. It's like, okay, that sounds fine. That makes sense. That makes sense right now. And that's kind of how we lived our lives for that year. So going to a major label wasn't a statement or a hunger for success or ambition or anything like that. It was just like, well, this A&M seems like a good label, and we want to make a new record. This makes sense. So, but at the same time, you're right. We were a lot of people, like you did the arms crossed thing. It was like, thought, what is going on? They're signed to a major label. What does this mean? And there was a lot of negativity about it. Yeah. And then other things like making the record in San Francisco and not Los Angeles, and all these little things, and people knowing that suddenly the Dream Syndicate had disappeared for months on end and weren't playing shows, but nobody knew. Again, pre-internet days, what's happened to the Dream Syndicate? They're gone all of a sudden. They used to play every month, and now we're not hearing a peep. All those things made people very wary and concerned because it wasn't the way things were back then. And it soon became the way things were. It became that was the beginning of the dangerous 80s producers take over the show kind of thing that all the bands you've interviewed on the show went through. I used to, when the record came out, I remember saying to worried people or detractors, hey, it costs you the same in the record store as the last one. that it's
Yeah.
still it's an
Yeah.
898 it's an 898 list just like the last one.
Yeah. It's a good answer.
Yes.
Yeah. No, and you
So
work
don't
with
worry
good
about it.
people. Like you said, I love in the box here, there's a memo from Jeff Gold, who worked at A&M. Well, I love Jeff
Hmm.
Gold. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Great guy still. And Sandy Pearlman, I
He
mean,
is.
he gets a bad rap. I met him at Warner. Me and Kim met him at Warner Brothers one day. We're in Howie Klein's office. He just pops in.
Oh wow.
It's like I didn't know what he looked like, right? At that point. And like, this is Sandy Pearlman. And I was like, I was nailed to the wall. Oh my God, it's Sandy Pearlman. So totally sweet guy, knew who our band was,
Hmm.
funny. Like he gets a bad rap, but he was a great guy, like as far as I could tell.
I'm glad you got to meet him and had that experience. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Yeah, he was a really good guy, so smart, and he really, on this record, all the things that I could be frustrated with him about, and again, it's all in the book, how long it took and everything, really came from the point of view that he just had this way of working where he wanted to make masterpiece artworks. I mean, he just shot really high, and he was always looking for something. And it could be frustrating if you didn't know what he was looking for, or it'd be frustrating if you just wanted to get done and get back on the road. But it came from a place of wanting to do something really large scale, magnificent. It makes me so sad that he's not around at this point.
yeah,
And Sandy died, I think, he'd be only about 75 now. He died 3 or 4 years ago. I got to check on that. And much too young. And he was from Long Island and was living in Long Island. And I live right next to Long Island. I live in Queens. And I could have gotten a car and been at Sandy's house in a half hour. And I wish I could drive to his house with this box set, sit down with him and say, man, wasn't that something? How about here it is? Who would have thought? It's
yeah,
it's 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 a really a melancholy, a bittersweet thing about this whole thing is that he should be here to enjoy this as well.
yeah,
So he has become kind of the villain in a lot of the story. And even in my book, he
yeah,
becomes kind of the heavy. And I tried not to sugarcoat things, but really the takeaway at the end of it is it was a great experience. I'm glad I got to work with him and work in a way that at the same time was the only way we could have made this record. I mean, he basically pushed us to a breaking point, and once we get to the breaking point, that's when he got what this record's all about. It is
yeah,
there's no premeditation. There's no sense of self-defense or posing or anything in this record. This record's a set of a band, particularly me and Carl, because Dennis and Dave went home early. It's me and Carl being pushed to a breaking point, and what he got from us when we got pushed to the breaking point. And you don't get that every day. I mean, it's really
yeah,
it's something I'll probably never make a record quite like that again because I won't allow it to happen.
yeah,
I'll be honest. I don't think I'll ever be in a position where I'll be in a studio. I can kind of mine that feeling. I know how at this point to go through and do something wild and try to go beyond myself, but it wouldn't be the same. I'll never be that just shattered in pieces and seeing what I can get from those shattered pieces on record again. So I'm glad this exists because it works. It was no fun getting there, but it works.
yeah.
Every song is amazing too on it. So yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
yeah, I think what Sandy ended up getting out of you guys is incredible. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a great quote in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he says, like, I wasn't trying to make a perfect record. And
Right.
it's not antiseptic record, clean record. It's
Yeah.
it's wonderful.
When people at the time would say things that we had sold out, or this would
Yeah.
say, "Have you listened to this record?
Yeah,
Have
yeah.
have you read those lyrics? Have you heard the way I'm singing on it? Have you anything of this? It's the opposite. I mean, for us to have sold out, this is what it would have looked like and sounded like if the Dream Syndicate sold out. We would have made a second Days of Wine and Roses because that would have been selling out. That would have been if we really wanted the brass ring at that time. We would have made Days of Wine and Roses Part 2 and would have had that. We would have made the necessary leap to the next step. No, we just took a severe turn to something very, very weird. And that's where we got. And it's partially because the songs I'd written these songs like Burn and Merrittville and Medicine Show and Armed with an Empty Gun. All of them, really, even Daddy's Girl, all the songs, Coltrane, for God's sake, they're all very dark songs, really about scratching the surface beneath people and seeing all the things they don't want to admit to themselves. The kind of, the dark secrets that people have or don't have, or they have, don't want people to know about. And I kind of went for that for whatever reason. You can be a psychologist here, and I can offer up a lot of theories of my own. But at that point, it seemed like that's what I wanted to do. Like, oh, now I've got the spotlight. Now people are paying attention to me and my songs for the first time in my life. I know I want to find something just profound and real and unflinching, and the kind of thing, really the kind of thing you would see in a movie. I mean, like, on a record, much like Lou Reed with the Velvet Underground, what he did wasn't that remarkable. Well, it was, of course, musically, but it was, well, all he did was he wrote songs that reflected the kind of things you'd read about in underground books at the time. They were in underground society, and in movies were being made, but it hadn't been done in music. And I think, with Medicine Show, it's it's I'd less compare it to some other record at the time and say it's more like some, you know, Scorsese or Francis Ford Coppola movie. Sandy Pearlman was a very big devotee of Francis Ford Coppola. Apocalypse Now was his North Star. And I think he kind of put us through the same thing that Francis Ford Coppola put Martin Sheen through in that movie. It was a similar kind of process,
Yeah.
And I think he wanted that.
Uh, it paid
Nice.
off. It paid off for us. Sorry you had to go through that, but,
Yeah.
but it paid off.
I know we're wrapping up, Steve. I just want to end. I'm into gossip, and there's a bit of gossip in this box set. The
Love it.
Carl going out with Bebe Buell. Am I saying her name right?
Yeah, BB
Like that.
Buell.
Yeah, that was something that we didn't know, or I didn't know.
Yeah, I knew.
How long did that go on? How long was that relationship?
Well, and I can't remember how it started. I think maybe they were friends in common. The wonderful Joanna Spock Dean, who was our manager, tour manager, friend, roommate at various times. I think she might have brought BB into the fold, if I'm not mistaken. Sadly, she's not here to verify that. And I miss her. She was part of this whole story too. But all of a sudden, BB was there,
Okay.
and she'd be coming to, and she was coming to, CBGBs and crappy little clubs and stuff like that. And she was there, and she was a music fan. She really was. I mean, she obviously, and she said herself, she had a crush on Carl. Carl was a BB Buell type. He was a rock star. He looked, even before he looked like it. And she would, but she was not very nice to me all the time. She was very cool. We got along well. And believe me, as a music fan, as a rock fan, as a reader of Cream magazine,
Yes.
it wasn't lost on me to have BB Buell hanging out in our backstage and walking out of Carl's hotel room, the next morning after a show, like, God damn, there's BB Buell. And walking out of the Motel 6 room 310,
Wow. So Spock came up in our last two episodes. So I mean, the last one and this one. So
as she should.
So Jenny Shore spoke of Spock as
Oh,
well too.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Wonderful. Yeah, I want to read her book. I really want to read that. She was a regular in the Spock house, as it was called.
yeah.
Yes. Yep. You'll like it. It's good. Yeah.
All right. Well, we got a couple minutes before this shuts off again. Steve, thank you so much for playing our little speed round and for talking to us about this amazing box set. We've been waiting, as you know, and it was definitely worth the wait. So for the people that don't have it, I recommend that you definitely get the CD version as well as the vinyl version and catch the band. If you're on the East Coast or in Europe, don't miss this show, man. These guys, no matter how many times you've seen the Dream Syndicate, go to this show.
This is different. Yeah, this is very different.
Yeah.
And it won't happen. It won't happen again. I mean, this is what we're doing in this tour is a one-time only. So, if I had to hard sell what we're doing, if you're thinking about it, just do it. It's going to be, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and Down There Records is back, folks. So send your demo tapes.
No.
Oh my gosh, Ronnie.
Don't worry, Steve. We'll give Ronnie's PO box. All good.
Yeah.
Ronnie, we want him back again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Steve. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We love
And
you.
Soraya, I see Soraya, we're friends on Facebook now. I didn't know we weren't until this show. So yes, finally.
Thank you.
Oh
my gosh. But yeah, people need to get this. Bandcamp, go to Bandcamp or get it. And even though you said not streamed, this expanded edition is available on some. It is on Apple Music.
All the
bonus tracks.
All the
bonus tracks are all streamable.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of however you want to hear your music, go ahead and hear it. But to be honest, I think you should buy the box
Yes.
set or the LP or the digital download, which is high quality digital download. I'm only saying because it sounds so good that way, and it's a better experience. So I will
Bring your
rarely
music,
do the
folks.
hard sell.
Yes.
Do it right there.
There you
All
go.
right, Steve. Thanks so much. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you.
Always great. Great.
And
Yep.
happy
What number show is this? This is number
What are
170
we?
or something?
No, we're
217
think,
or
yeah,
218?
218, I believe.
218.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow. So, wow. Well, congratulations. It's amazing. That's such a feat. That's fantastic.
Thank
And
you.
We'll have to
if you've
give you
done
the
5,
rundown of
Steve,
your numbered
yeah,
episodes.
you got our jacket, I think, at this point, Steve. Since there's been
I
5.
We
like
should
that.
have it,
I like
right?
that.
Like
Five.
I'm
a
like
Saturday Night
I'm
Live,
like
the
Alec
Five
Baldwin
Timers
or
Club.
Martin
We should have
Short or
like
something.
a
Okay, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm
Awesome.
proud to wear the jacket.
Yep.
All right. Thanks.
Oh my God.
Steve.
Thank you again.
Yeah, have a good evening.
All right.
All
Happy
right.
touring.
See you soon, Steve. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
Oh, we
have
are?
picked out like a couple of quotes, but I'll make it quick. Steve Wynn, super busy, but if you're a fan of Steve Wynn's music, you have a lot to look forward to. But most importantly, go see the show, go get this. You need it. All
Yep.
these treasures found by the great Pat Thomas.
Yep. If they made it this far, they know.
Whew,
They know. I hope.
dang, they better.
Urebier.
Oh,
Did I say it right?
Soraya, he's trying to get us out of here.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no.
Mi gente a Gruyer.
Groove on, Paisley people.
Woo!
You were going to go something Texas like, yeah.
I know. I should have. Supposed to be different. I know.
I'm not liking it. Let's see if I can do something about this. Is that too weird? Let's see. Is that? Yeah. That's a
like
little
that better.
No, that's horrible. That's spooky. I don't like that either. I can get this better.
See, me and Steve are prima donnas. That's what comes in the
Well,
business.
you know, it's a
Yeah.
You know what you like.
yeah. Stage people. Hey,
There we go. Okay.
Awesome. Awesome.
I'm gonna go full screen on this because it's more fun that way. Let's see.
Do it.
Oh,
There we go, like this kind of thing. I'm just a frustrated director. What I really want to do is direct. There we go.
awesome. I mean,
There you go.
it's one of the few gaps in your resume, so
Well, Linda and I have been watching the Martin Scorsese documentaries now. Like I just want to make movies now.
awesome.
Yeah.
We know what's next, Soraya.
There we go, man.
Good to see you all.
Same.
Yes, great to
Same.
see you.
Yeah, you shaved too, Steve, didn't you? It looks like you shaved.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. Is that an unusual thing?
No.
Back in medicine show days, I would shave. Shaving was optional back then. It was like, if maybe if I remembered where to find my razor, I'd shave occasionally then.
Nice. Since you brought it up, Steve, I've always wondered about your haircut on the medicine show picture. I never saw you with that haircut anytime else. With the sideburns.
If you notice right now, it's getting a little bit longer because I've kind of been doing this method acting thing where I figure I'm going to try to grow it long like I had back then. But yeah, I had the crazy long sideburns. I was there. It is. I was 20. Yeah. I'm about 23 years old there, and I'm trying to look like I'm a 60-year-old Greyhound bus station derelict. That's kind of what I was shooting for with my look and my lifestyle, and I did a pretty good job of it. But now when I look back at those pictures, I think, oh, look at that cute little kid just trying to be tough.
Yeah, no, it's. I never heard anybody address that fact before too. Because I never saw you with that haircut ever again.
Not quite like that. No, definitely not. Yeah, I'm testing to see if I can do it now. It's there somewhere.
All
Ronnie,
right.
I hear you're having a Taco Tuesday with Tom Grasick tomorrow.
Yeah, you heard. Yeah, wow, that just got confirmed today. Yeah.
Word gets around.
It's good. Everyone's invited if you want to come up here.
I'd love to.
I'm so happy to have Tom up here. I know this isn't related to anything, you guys, but so happy to have Tom up here as a buddy.
Yeah, I bet that.
Yeah, he's fantastic, but you know that.
Yeah. I just saw him in Portland last week.
Yeah, that's great that he should have told me. I would have driven with him.
Oh shoot, it was a fun show too.
2 men on the road. Yeah. Oh wow.
Man on the road.